Look, I'm Paul Hurd. I'm here to talk a little bit about redistricting, and I was told to do it for 20 minutes. Who's close to me with the watch? All right, just wave at me when I got 2 minutes left. I promise we're doing 20 minutes. We're not doing 21. All right, here I've passed out today 2 different sheets, and I wanted you to see them. One that just looks like a good lecture sheet. The other one is a map. All redistricting is about maps and population and where it lives. What we're talking about today, and the reason I wanted to come and talk with y'all, is we are in a very difficult bind in Northeast Louisiana as it relates to Congress. The other redistricting, there's other redistricting that's going to go on, but there's Congress, then we're going to redistrict our House seats. For example, District 16, which K-Katz is in now and is term limited and may have new candidates running for it in October. It is in some in West Monroe, some in Monroe side of the river. It may get moved either direction. That's redistricting at the state level. Right now, I thought today, just as an introduction to show you what's going on, I thought we'd deal mainly with Congress, and it's a very important issue for Northeast Louisiana. One, we are now going to unfortunately reap what we've sown, and that is we've not grown like the rest of the state. We're so agriculturally based outside of Ouachita Parish that it has resulted with technology growing in the ag industry. It has created an ever-dwindling population outside of Ouachita Parish, Lincoln Parish, and everything else is chicken plucking. I mean, that's about all that's growing outside us. So what we've got, now that we've got our census, is that we're going to have to redraw our congressional districts. We have historically had a Northeast Louisiana congressional district. Also, 30 years ago, we had 8 congressmen. All right, think about that. That's 8. We now, because of our state's growth relative to our sister states, we only have 6. What that tells you in the competition in America, that our leadership the last 30 years has utterly failed us. We have, relative to our sister states, shrunk 25% relative to their growth. This is not illegal aliens. This is not anything other than a governmental failure of decades proportion. We must now deal with the political consequences of that failure. What we've got in Louisiana, we're now down to 6 congressmen. We had 7 congressmen. We also had a majority-minority district with 7 congressmen. We had a majority-minority district in the Orleans-Jefferson Parish area. Think about redistricting as this. You talk about, I think it's in the Bible. We had the expert a while ago. What, the path to hell is paved with good intentions? I don't know if it is, but it's not good intentions. The point of this is redistricting is one of the worst things that ever happened to the voter. Yet, it was done in our name, and everything that happens after that is done intentionally by the established elected officials to make sure that they mute and manipulate the will of the voters. We pack them, we stack them, we use them as filler, and that's what the incumbents talk about in redistricting our state. If you wonder where I learned some of this, I litigated this stuff in the 1990s when we last drew, well, not last time, the time we drew them in the 1990s, we had a very aggressive U.S. Justice Department. They demanded a second majority-minority district in this state. We ended up, and look, the white side of the line and the black side of the line is no different. Politicians inside the Beltway, inside our Baton Rouge Beltway, love to divide us by race. Right. What they did is they created a district from Lafayette that meandered and cut by racial precincts over to Baton Rouge, up through East Feliciana, West Feliciana, up the river. A finger went out to Alexandria, a finger kept coming up the river to Lake Providence, went over the top. Now this is one district, guys. Went over the top, dropped the finger down in Ouachita Parish, kept going west, dropped the finger down in Ruston, went further to the west, and ended in Shreveport.
I remember
One
that.
congressional district,
Remember that?
70% black. And what did it accomplish? It accomplished 80% white districts all around it. This issue of racial gerrymandering bothers me because it does not allow us to work together.
That's right.
Now we're down to 6 districts. Well, obviously, if you've got a certain percentage of minority population and you're dividing by 7, it takes a smaller group, a smaller area to build a majority minority district. That's what's required often under the Voting Rights Act. It's not always required, and it is not what we were successful in doing in the 1990s is it does not require unconstitutional racial gerrymandering of your state. You don't have to cut yourself up this bad. The incumbents love to do it. So what I did was this. I drew out a map and I took just the populations of the whole parishes. The other thing they love to do is to politically or personally gerrymander for an incumbent around the edges. They'll cut up parishes. If they're cutting up parishes, they're cheating the voters. Okay? You've got to cut them up for one, you have to cut them up for one reason, and that's one man, one vote. If you try to build these districts, they've got to be of equal population when we start. There's going to be some slight cuts. If you have more than about 5 or 6 parishes cut, you've got incumbents messing with the voters. But what I wanted to show you today, if you look at these 2 maps, is this. Think about Louisiana, and we've got 6 districts. First, let's look at where we're not. Look down in your southeast corner. Regardless of how you rack and stack the parishes, that, if you look at the little orange area, the green area, and the blue area, by whole parish, the, this is my last one. Did y'all not do one up here? We did better than 25 today, so I did not bring enough. Look down at your, someone around you may have one, but look. If you look in the north, in the southeast corner, what you see is that's 3 districts worth. I don't care how they cut it up, the numbers add up to the equivalent of 3 districts. Each district has to have 755,000, and I don't remember the last 3 numbers, and change. 755 and change. That's 755 and change 3 times. The problem now that we have is the rest of the state, from East Baton Rouge west and north, only has enough population now for 3 districts. And so what I drew was this, and I'm going to say this, I love Bob Costello. I called him and I said, would you please just give me the list that I know you have. They've had these numbers now for 2 weeks. Would you give me the list of the population numbers in all our congressional districts based on the new census, so we know how much theoretically they might have to move? It doesn't help us because we're having to shrink one. We're having to dissolve one. And I said, give me also the numbers for our House districts and our Senate districts. And he refuses. The only people now, the Times-Picayune is writing an article about the different divisions of them. The newspaper in Lafayette is, but when we ask for just give us, because what you got to do is have the machine that's in the Capitol, take the numbers, overlay the districts that we have, spit the numbers out. Ask your state rep, ask your senator, please give us those numbers, because once you have those numbers, you know whether they're messing with you. How about you?